I and my Father are one, John 10:30. Quote, the ancients greatly perverted this passage to prove from it that Christ is identical with the Father. Christ speaks not concerning a unity of substance, but of the mutual agreement between the Father and himself. John Calvin. Those who teach that Jesus claimed to be God, despite the fact that he never said, I am God, as God so often did in the Old Testament, e.g. Genesis 35:11, 46:3, Psalms 46:10, 57, Isaiah 43:12, etc., cite John 10:30 as a major proof. Quote, Jesus is one with the Father, so if the Father is God, then Jesus is God. Christian Apologetics and Research Ministry. This article shall establish that Jesus was not claiming to be God, but claiming to be in unity with God. Jesus is not the Father. First, we need to be clear that Jesus is not the Father. Quote, the Father himself, which sent me, ye have neither heard his voice at any time, nor seen his shape. John 5:37. Quote, Father, not my will, but thine be done. Luke 22:42. Quote, I ascend to my Father and your Father. John 20:17. Quote, the Son of the Father. 2 John 1:3. Jesus is not equal with the Father. We also need to be clear that Jesus is not equal with the Father. On earth, Jesus said, quote, my Father is greater than I, John 14:28. In heaven, Jesus 4 times called the Father my God, Revelation 3:12. Jesus is not equal with the Father, for the Father is, quote, the God and Father of Jesus, 2 Corinthians 11:31, Ephesians 1:3. There is no equality between someone and their God. Unity, not identity. Quote, in John 10:30, Jesus is explaining that the Father and Son are one in the context of unity, not identity. The Trinitarian authored website, christiandefense.org/general/John-1030. Quote, a unity of fellowship, of will, and of purpose between the Father and the Son is tersely and powerfully expressed here. A critical and exegetical commentary of the Gospel according to St. John, J. H. Bernard. Quote, the word translated one expresses union, referring to unity. Barnes notes, quote, united, not a claim to deity. People's New Testament, quote, one expresses the unity between Christ and the Father. Singleness of purpose. The New Bible Dictionary, 2nd edition, page 844, 1982. Quote, the expression seems mainly to imply that the Father and Son are united in will and purpose. The Gospel, according to St. John, Professor R.V.G. Tasker, Tyndale New Testament Commentaries, 1960, page 136. That they may be one even as we are one. Quote, if we go to the Bible itself for the interpretation of John 10:30, we find that the simplest mind can grasp it. Trinitarian professor William Barclay, The Gospel of John, Volume 2, page 74 and 76. Jesus made it quite clear that the oneness he had with the Father was unity, not identity. Quote, Father, Keep those who thou hast given me, that they may be one, as we are one. John 17:11, NIV, RSV, ISV, etc., etc. Quote, their unity is to be like that between the Father and the Son. Footnote for John 17:11, NIV Study Bible, 1985. Quote, Jesus prays in John 17:11 that his followers may all be one, i.e., united in purpose, as he and his Father are united. The Gospel according to St. John, Professor R.V.G. Tasker. Quote, that they may be one, even as we are one. John 17:21 and 22. Quote, the word one, John 17:21, expresses the unity which exists among Christians. New Bible Dictionary, 2nd edition, page 844. Jesus was not asking that we all have the same identity, but that we be in unity in the same way, quote, even as he and the Father are in unity. The Greek word translated one. The Greek word translated one in John 10:30 is hen, H-E-N, defined by Vine's Expository Dictionary of New Testament Words, page 809, as, quote, metaphorically, union and concord, e.g. John 10:30. Gender schmender. Trinity apologists argue that since hen is neutral in gender, it cannot refer to unity, but must be understood as indicating sameness of identity. However, quote, the same neuter adjective, hen, is used in John 17:11, where Jesus prays that his disciples may be one, hen, even as Jesus and the Father are one. The Trinitarian Christian Defense.org /general /John 1030. Quote, hen, being of the neuter gender, can hardly signify one being, but rather one in will and purpose. Young's Concise Critical Bible Commentary, page 62, 1977. Trinitarian scholar Robert Young. Quote, he that planteth and he that watereth are one, hen, 1 Corinthians 3:6 and 8. Even though this is the same gender-neutral Greek word hen, Paul is not saying that he and Apollos share the same identity, but that they share a unity of purpose. Note how some other English versions translate this comparison between the one who plants and the one who waters. United, EHB, one in purpose, HCSB, ICB, ERV, EXB, NCB, and IB, of the same importance and esteem, AMPC, CEB, work together, CEB, have the same goal, GWISB, NOG, work as a team with the same aim, TLB, have a common purpose, Mounts, NCB. Why translate hen as have a common purpose, alike, etc. in one place, and are one in another, other than to try to make it appear that John 17:11 is saying that they share a single identity? Summary. Jesus is not the Father. Jesus is not equal with the Father. The oneness Jesus spoke of was a unity of purpose and activity with God, not a sameness of identity. Conclusion. Despite the distorted interpretation of John 10:30 through 33 offered by those who teach that Jesus is God, I and my Father are one, was not a claim by Jesus to be God, but a claim to be in unity of thought, purpose, and action with God.